This is Perspectives, the show where a look at how we are different will often end up showing us how much we actually have in common. I'm Condace Pressley. On the show today, independent film producer and director Lamont Gant. A year ago, he gave us a sneak preview of his science fiction movie, Returned. And earlier this year, he signed a deal that provided for the national DVD digital release of his film. You can get it at Best Buy, you can get it at Walmart, it's on iTunes, Vudu, Comcast, Verizon Video On Demand, and so much more. And this time he has brought with us a couple of his friends and co-workers, Theresa Sullivan, who is an actress in the film, and we're going to let her tell you about what she does, and Marlon McCaulsky. He is co-writer on the film, right?
Yes.
All right. So we want to say hello to everybody. Let's just, Lamont, start with you and reset for audience where we were a year ago, and tell us about a little bit about the plot of Return. I was teasing about it a moment ago, but we want you really to do it.
All right. A year ago, sat with you. We were premiering the film a year ago. We just want to come out and see this project, and now a year later, we have national distribution on the film through GVN Releasing and Sony Home Entertainment, and Novus as well. Yeah.
Can't forget Novus.
Yeah. So, but the plot of the film is we have a guy who has cancer. He's dying. He's terminal. He's headed to New York to get some additional treatment for his cancer, and en route to New York, the plane disappears. 12 years later, he returns. He comes back. He's found floating in the ocean and doesn't know where he's been, doesn't know what happened to him. And once he wakes up in the hospital, he sees someone that he recognizes from the plane he was on, and he goes to them looking for answers in regards to where he's been. And the FBI is investigating the situation, trying to find out where he's been as well. And from that point, just all types of stuff happens.
And Theresa Sullivan, that's where you come in because you play the FBI agent in the film. Tell us a little bit about your character and how you came to work on Returned.
Thank you, Condace. Yes, my character's name is Jordan Smith, and she's an FBI agent investigating the disappearance of the plane and the reappearance of Ben's character, as Lamont just stated. And she's kind of you'll see her go through a transition through the film where she starts off very hard-nosed, trying to find out the truth to the story, what's going on. But as the story develops, you start to see a different side of her. So it's really interesting to see the development of that character. How I came to work with Lamont, Lamont and I have actually known each other for years. We have a mutual
Isn't
friend.
that always the way?
Yeah, we have a mutual friend, and part of his creativeness is he's an artist also. So for a gift, he drew a picture of me. My friend hired him to do that. And that's how we first connected. Then we talked a little bit about, I also am a poet. So we talked a little bit about him designing book covers for my poetry. And fast forward 10 years later or so, he's dabbling in films, and this mutual friend says, hey, Theresa's an actress too, which Theresa really had stopped being an actress at that time. And he had a short film that had a small part in it called No Time for Love. And he cast me in it, and that went on national television as well. So since we've been partnering up with that, we've just kind of been working together going forward. We have a great chemistry, director-actress chemistry, so it works really well.
So Marlon and Lamont, you are a couple of the writers, the creative genius behind the story. Marlon, tell us a little bit about your process. How do you guys, you sit in a room and you're like, what if? Does one person develop characters? One person develop story? I mean, I'm just curious. Take us behind the scenes in the writing process.
Well, the writing process started with Lamont coming to me and Victoria Marie, who's not able to be here, V. Marie. And he came to us with a premise at the time when the Malaysian flight disappeared and nobody knew where it was, and everybody was asking the same question: what happened to it?
Yeah, what happened?
And so we kind of came at the film with that approach, like, what if somebody came back? What would be that story? And anything could have happened to it. It could have been terrorists. It could have been aliens. Whatever. So we sat.
You could have gotten lost like that TV show.
Right. So we all sat together and we all just kind of threw out ideas. Victoria had her take on it. I had my take on it. Lamont had his perspective on it. And then we kind of came to a conclusion of what was the most interesting story to tell. So that was the approach to writing the film. And Victoria did a lot of the character developments. I did a lot of the dialogue.
So when did you discover that you had a knack, a flair, a talent for writing dialogue? I'm sure you write other things as well, but on this particular piece, that was your focus.
Yeah. Well, my background, I'm an author, and I've been published a few books now, and I've been.
Go ahead, drop the title so that people can go and find your work.
Pink Palace in stores right now. A few of the books I've written: Born Sinners, Blush, Used to Temporary Happiness, The Pink Palace, and
if you're going to characterize your books, they would be what?
I would say African American literature.
Very good.
That ranges from different subject matters. And of course, Return, we wrote a novelization to this film.
Had to.
Yeah. Too many offers to not to.
Yeah.
So that was my background. The way I met Lamont is through a mutual friend, another author named K. Rowling Williams. And we met each other at a party, and we just kind of kept in contact with each other. And it finally came to a point where I was doing a book, and I needed a book cover done. And who else did I call but Lamont?
He's your artist.
From there, we just started collaborating and just grew into doing films.
So, Lamont, you're an artist, clearly creative. Creative Genius Studios, your company. What in your head was going on that had you pivot from still images to video images?
Well, with the book covers, when I was designing them, Kay Rowling came to me and said, "Lamont, I got another book coming out. Tell everyone about it." I'm like, wow, there's got to be a better way to let people know you got a book out. So I got into the book trailers. It was still images, that sort of thing. And I did the book trailers, had a lot of fun doing it. And it got to a point where I was getting hired by other authors to do trailers, but I was putting more of my own money into it. And it was just a natural transition to go into film.
And technology now makes things so much easier to do, I would think, and so much more affordable. I mean, as we're doing a radio interview, you've got a couple of GoPro cameras going in here capturing what we're doing.
Production,
so, yes, it's always production. You never know how you're going to use it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, the playing field has definitely evened out. And a lot of the stuff that major films are using, regular consumers have access to it. And it's relatively affordable, right? So that's pretty much what it is. Same programs. I can watch Star Wars and create some of the same effects that they did in Star Wars at my house, on the programs that I have. So the playing field is definitely even. And if you want to put in the time and the effort and the dedication, you can create some pretty good quality stuff, film-wise.
This is science fiction, and science fiction, as you just said, you can watch Star Wars at home, Star Trek at home, multi-million-dollar big-budget films with all of these special effects. And as you say, the technology is such that you can create many of those effects, at a more affordable cost, and then put that time into character and story. How does that impact your art? What
happens is once we write the story, we kind of approach it like, let's just put it out there. Don't try to say, hey, we can do this or we can't do that. Let's just write it. Let our imaginations go. And once we get it out, then I go to the process of trying to figure out how can we achieve this effect. There was a scene where the main character, she's on her planet. How can we achieve that, affordably? And the best way to do that was the green screen. We did the green screen route. And then I created the world around the character. And having those programs made it a lot easier to show people exactly what I was seeing in my head. The programs are powerful, and they're amazing. They're amazing. I mean, you can really do some wonderful things on a small budget.
This was a very affordable film. You did this for
micro budget.
A micro budget. I saw how much you put into this film, and I was wow.
Yeah, it was more passion and talent than money behind it. Really, that's what it was.
How long was the shoot?
How long was it? It took us a year to shoot the film. We shot primarily on the weekends because we had to accommodate everybody's work schedules. Most work 9 to 5s, but we have some working actors in the film as well. Primarily Blue Kimball and Diane Kirby are working actors in this. So I had to work around their schedules when we made the film. But after a year, we got it done. We took one hiatus to accommodate Blue because he was
3-month hiatus.
Yeah, he was doing a film in California. But after that year, we spent the following year promoting it, doing red carpet events. When we saw you, we did a lot of sci-fi conventions. Yeah. We got invitations to a lot of sci-fi conventions. Onyx Con, State of Black Science Fiction Con. Right. Shout out to Joseph Wheeler and Milton Davis.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of support from them, and all that we got the attention of some distributors.
Marlon, tell us about this genre of black science fiction. There may be listeners out there who it's a niche, and your very passionate fans may know about it, but there may be some real sci-fi fans who are African-American sci-fi fans of everything that don't know that your kind of work is available.
Well, I hate to label it black science fiction because science fiction
it's science fiction with African-American actors that
exactly,
we're putting to work.
And that's the angle that we don't see people who represent us in these roles. We usually see us in the other films. So to do a film like this that is really universal, and really you can plug any ethnicity into these roles and you'll still have the same story, the same emotion. It just happens that most of our characters and most of our actors are African American.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of folks say there's a whole lot right with that.
Yeah, and it's also surprising to see to those who disagree with that notion too.
Well, apparently there's a lot of that going around these days.
Right. Yeah.
Lamont, I don't want to not give you an opportunity to talk about how entirely big a deal it is that by being invited to some of the sci-fi conventions, by being invited to some of the film festivals, how you were able to get a national distribution deal for this film. As we said at the beginning, you can get it at Best Buy, you can get it at Walmart. It's on all of the wireless services that come on your smart TV so that you can have access to your quality content right now. How'd you do that? Without giving away your secrets, easy. But of course, nothing worthwhile ever is.
We aligned all the stars.
Yeah, we aligned the stars to make it happen. But it really came down to just promoting ourselves. We made a big deal out of it for ourselves. And people responded to that. I always tell people, when we do an event, let's make a big deal out of it. And it might be a small budget, but let's not treat it like a small budget. And when we got offered distribution, they thought we already had distribution. They thought we already had this budget and all these things going on. But really, it came down to just promoting yourself, and the opportunity came to us. I didn't have to go knocking on doors. We started to. Marlon and I, we were in Walmart writing down distribution companies off the back of the DVDs. I was poised to do it, and they came to us before I even made the first call.
Well, I was going to say, were you ever discouraged or worried that this film wouldn't have an opportunity to reach the audience that ought to see it?
No, I believed in it, and the artists believed in it too, and they put so much into it that I wasn't going to stop. Yeah. I wasn't going to stop until I got somebody, involved in it.
Yeah, you feel almost obligated to, because of the work and the time that people put into this project to do everything you can in order to get it out there.
Yeah.
Theresa Sullivan, tell me about working with these two gentlemen.
It's a tremendous experience.
Now that could mean all sorts of things.
Exactly, and to elaborate on that, like I said, I was an actress in a previous life, and I've worked with other producers, directors, writers, and it's a different atmosphere when you're working with Creative Genius Films because, like Lamont said, the passion carries the project, and it starts with him. It goes through to V. Marie and Marlon, and it comes through the artist that he picks to be a part of this project. And that's the thing that I really enjoyed and appreciated about the experience, the camaraderie, the creative synergy that happened with all of the cast and the crew and the directors, the writers. So all of that being said, it was just a tremendous experience in that regard. It's a difficult thing to do independent projects because of limited resources, budgets, and things of that nature. But when that's not the forefront, when the passion of the project is the forefront, it makes all the difference in the world in the energy and the effort that you want to put in it, being a part of that.
Can you tell us if there was a moment when you knew that you were in costume and all of a sudden not only were you in the costume, but you truly became Agent Jordan Smith?
was there one particular moment? That's a hard thing because it took them convincing me this is who you are, because I had never done anything where I was a cop or anything like that. FBI agent was completely out of my realm, but I tried to embody.
So what
the character.
What kind of characters had you played before?
Before I played, like Marlon spoke to, where we are in those kind of romantic comedy, so to speak, or romantic dramas, so to speak. So I'd been the girlfriend, I'd been the overprotective sister. Those types of roles I had done.
Oh, so you'd been playing strong black women. You just hadn't been playing this strong black woman.
But not like with, authority to kill kind of thing. So it was a great deal of fun. And like I said, I try my best to embody the character from day one. But they might have a better perspective seeing it as to when that moment was.
I'll tell you when she became Jordan Smith. The hospital scene in the very beginning of the film, we shot that last. That was our last scene of the entire film. Mm-hmm. And the cool part about that was, at that moment, she had already shot all the other scenes, so she knew who her character was. I mean, we did everything. So when we did that scene and she came onto the set, and she put the FBI badge on and all that, that was Jordan Smith. I mean, that was, you were her, period, to me, in that scene.
Marlon, is that what you had in your mind?
I had that scene in particular because that's when I thought that you were the most comfortable with your character in that last scene. Mm-hmm. But for me, when you did the interview with Ben, interrogation scene,
with Ben,
and you two were bouncing off of each other, going back and forth. I was like, okay, she's there. She's there. She's totally there.
Yeah, that I would have to say that was one of my moments too, because I think that was my first scene with Blue Kimball that we had filmed.
Yeah.
And he is just a tremendous talent. And, we kind of had to get to a point where you're just enraged with each other and infuriated. One's on one side trying to figure things out, the other's on the other side, but still trying to figure things out. And they
keeping you from figuring things out at the same time.
Exactly. But, and they just kind of come to a head. And I would have to say, if I had to pick one moment, that was a really good moment.
So how do you prepare for a scene like that? Especially when you like your coworker.
I know, right?
I guess that's why they call it acting.
Exactly. What I do personally, my preparation for the film started way before we started shooting. I got some friends of mine who were in law enforcement to help me kind of teach me how to hold a gun, that kind of thing. And for a scene like that, you really just have to forget that that's Blue sitting across from me and remind yourself that that's Ben, and in your mind as a character, Agent Smith, he has an agenda, and it's your job to make sure that agenda doesn't get completed. So I just delve into the character when to prepare for those.
So you're an actress, you're a writer, you're a poet. You had not been acting much. You'd been focusing on some other things. Now, Lamont has pulled you back into this.
He did. More like a drag me back in.
Every time you think if you don't like it, you can just, I won't ask anymore.
Did the bug really bite, like you're now wanting to do more things, or, what else are you working on?
Well, it's a funny thing that you asked that question, because before the opportunity with No Time for Love with Lamont, one of my very close friends asked me the question of, have you ever thought about doing acting again? And do you miss it? And I said, I love it. Those moments between action and cut they breathe blood through my veins. I love that part. But I told her the grind of finding the work and the auditions and the open calls and the cattle calls, that I had no energy for.
And the rejections.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so the rejection I didn't so much mind. But I told her, I said, well, if there's ever a way for me to continue to do the work without the hassle of finding the opportunities, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And then here comes Lamont.
Well, Marlon talked about his books. You've written poetry, and Lamont has illustrated poetry covers for you. If our listeners would like to read some of the things that you too have written, share some titles. Where would we find it?
I have not published yet, so I'm on the cusp of doing that.
I'm still trying to talk her into it.
That is something that he's doing for me too, yes.
All right. So, Lamont, we were talking a few minutes ago about technology and how it has created an opportunity for aspiring filmmakers, active filmmakers like you, to produce quality work on a micro budget. But if you don't have the eye, I mean, you can take all of this stuff and make Returned, which is a really cool film. I'm not thinking so. What is it that distinguishes between the amateur and the true professional like you?
For me, it's point of reference. I know a lot of directors that make films, and they'll make films and they won't have a point of reference. I believe in point of reference because it's like, how can you make a car if you've never seen a car and you've never driven one? You have to do that to make sure that what you're doing is on point. And for me, watched a lot of movies. I took a movie and I wrote down, all the twists and turns and where the movie escalated, where the effects came in, where the characters were introduced. You have to do that research, and you have to do it with several different directors to really get an idea of what you need to do when you tell your story. And a lot of the amateurs don't do that. The amateurs sit down and say, hey, I'm going to make a film. I'm going to introduce this guy whenever, and I'm going to shoot this point and shoot type of deal. But for me, it's making films, it's an art for me. I love balance shot. I think I'm a cinematographer as well. Yeah. I love cinematography. But it's an art for me, so everything has to be balanced. I take screenshots from a lot of films. I do a lot of work before we shoot just to make sure the shots are just right and that sort of thing. So I think that distinguishes between the amateurs and the ones who really can make things happen even if you don't have a lot of money and you don't have the major equipment. It's like if you have a guitar player who's a genius and he records himself on a cassette tape and give it to you, regardless of that cassette tape, you can still tell that guy on that tape
he has the talent.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It outshines the quality of the tape. So if you're good, it doesn't matter the type of camera you have. To me, it doesn't matter. If you're talented, it'll show through, and people will see it.
I think Lamont has a true artist's soul and an artist's eye. When he's looking through that camera, there's a vision that he has in his mind that the rest of us can't see, but it's his goal to make us see it. That is something that's intricate when you're talking about good direction, good cinematography, and that I don't know how you box and give it to someone and say, now you can do this.
It sounds as if it's a gift. I mean, and it
truly is.
It truly is.
It truly is, and not everyone can do it. So what is next for the team?
We are working on a Return 2. We may not call it Return 2, but
because you left a whole bunch of. I had questions.
We
I'm
left
just
a
like,
lot on the table.
I was like, now wait a minute.
Yeah, we left a lot on the table.
Yeah.
So the question was, what characters do we follow for 2? And it was either follow Ben to some other place
else,
right,
or stay on Earth and follow the FBI agents. And we decided to follow the FBI agents.
Oh. So you got some more work to do, huh?
I do. Very excited about it.
Go a little bit deeper.
Just the beginning, yeah.
Just the beginning. So we're just about out of time. Reset for us, Lamont, how our audience can find Returned. Because with your deal, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. You can find Returned in your local Walmart. It's nationwide. So you can get it there. You can get it at Walmart.com as well. You can get it at BestBuy.com. You can get it on Amazon as well. And a lot of digital media, whatever your favorite streaming media is, like you mentioned in the beginning of the show, you can catch it there as well.
iTunes,
Google,
PlayStation,
Comcast,
You're on all the platforms.
Yeah.
On
it's
all the
over.
platforms.
HD.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, congratulations, because you have birthed it, you have worked it, you have promoted it, and now you're reaping the benefits of it. Just glad to see you again. Thank you so much, Lamont Gant. Thank you. And
can we shout out real quick to the cast?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
Shout out to Diane Kirby. She played 3 characters in the film. Awesome job on there.
And you don't know that she's 3 people.
That's
Yes.
she did an
skilled.
awesome job at that.
Yes.
Mr. Blue Kimball,
Yeah, our leading man.
Lee Thomas Lee, Aaron Harris, and Theresa Sullivan.
Yeah, she was in it.
And Theresa Sullivan's in the room right now. So, Theresa, good to meet you. Great work. Nice to see you. Lamont,
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
You too.
Marlon McCaulsky, the co-writer on the film. We'll see you back and talk about 2 when 2's ready. How about that?
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right. Enjoy the holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Perspectives is a half-hour we produce with you in mind. If there's something you think we ought to be talking about, let me hear from you. Tweet me. My handle is Condo29 on Twitter. Or leave a message on our Facebook page. We do appreciate your listening and hope you'll be back next week at this same time as we examine another perspective.